Cool.
What's up, Wraeclast? It's Wabacha, along with my good old co-host Hegemony.
What's up, everybody? Glad to be back.
And today our guest is Zizaran, never 100, actually now 100. What's up?
Hey,
Hey,
sometimes 100. For real
sometimes
this time.
100. So,
Also known as Price Check Child.
oh, or Parandus Coin
Brandon's twin
Child.
child.
Now that
Brandis.
that is kind of interesting. The fact that you got 100 in Parandus League with Parandus coins, with your name being PC Child.
I know.
It's like your 100 is directly influenced by the fact that you were receiving Parandus coins in arguably a much easier league, right?
I
I'm
don't
just
know.
joking. I'm just talking shit. Anyway, so yeah, we're going to be talking about a couple of things today. And what's up, Wraeclast? We're talking about Ziz's recent achievement to getting level 100, which congratulations. I know we've already
Thank
stated
you.
this. We're also going to be doing a new segment called Build Highlight, where we talk about a build that we have chosen to highlight. Ha ha ha. We'll go into that when we do it. We're kind of testing the waters with it, and then we're going to be talking about some other things afterwards, maybe the solo self-found league and some other stuff. So let's go ahead and let Ziz start us off. How does it feel?
It feels good. I feel like, especially on that last character, I was like being super ridiculously careful because I'd never had a level 100 character before. So I wasn't doing anything dangerous at all. Nothing. I would barely do one damage mod. I was like being that careful. But now like I would be quite happy doing like a lot more YOLO stuff now. I just wanted like one safe level 100 under my belt. And then I can do like more slightly ridiculous stuff. But I did like no min max, no crit stuff that I was used to killing me. No vegans.
No
No
vegans.
vegans. Yeah, that rip was pretty surprising. What rip was
Yeah.
that?
That was elemental hit, which is a really, really powerful skill that really needs a nerf. No, that was pretty crazy. He literally elemental hit bushed me.
Yeah, I remember
Well,
seeing that.
can you briefly go over like how many rips you had and what did you rip to on your quest to 100?
Okay, so obviously there was a lot of some performance issues in the start of Piranha's League. There was a lot of lag with the Piranha's mob stuff like that. So I ripped 3 times to like lag outs or disconnects, and then I ripped another three or 4 times to like the new Piranha's mobs. Like I ripped pretty early on to the Essence Drainer, and I had another rip to the Spectral Thrower, and I ripped another Piranha's pack at some point as well. And then other than that, like once I felt that like once you get out of like normal crawl and you get like into mapping, then the Piranha's mobs weren't that bad anymore. Like sure, some of them were like the Essence Drainer was a bit scary, but then I died to extreme cockiness in a chateau where I was like, "Oh, do you want to see how scary this boss is?" And I aggressive arrow straight into a huge blue pack, and I get one shot. Because
That one
my
was my
build was
favorite.
so strong that I didn't really look at the damage mods anymore. So I was like, "Oh, you know what? 4 damage mod T10 doesn't matter. This build is so strong." But that's the thing with builds. Like you get cocky, you're gonna die no matter how strong your build is. So, and then I also died to basically a perfect Storm Val, where a ghost elemental weaknessed me right before going into the boss, and then the boss shoots me with like 30% lightning rest. I was like, great,
Hmm.
great.
I think a lot of people
Uh,
kind of underestimate how dangerous double elemental damage mods are, or
yeah,
like double or more. If you have like double extra fire, extra cold, and then you have crit on top of that.
yeah,
Um,
exactly. No,
like,
like crit with any damage mod is super
yeah.
scary.
So
As a hardcore player, what do you do like mentally after you've, died to something like a DC or whatever? Like, do you just like take a day off? What's your routine?
Well, see, I think that's very different if you're a streamer or if you're just a player as well. Like before, if I had a rip, I would flip the table a bit and be like, "Fuck this! I'm gonna go play like Dota or something." Whereas now that I'm a streamer as well, like I would just, and I don't know if it's just that my attitude towards rip has changed. Like I do have a really long rip playlist, and if you see like the first 3 ones, I'm like, "Fuck! I'm fucking dead! What the hell?" But then like now I'm like, "I died. Let's start a new one." And I'll just instantly start a new character, and I usually don't go to bed right after a rip either. I usually like level up at least to like level 20, 30, even if I've been awake for a long time.
Now, is it
Uh,
possible that this is because your rips have become so commonplace?
Wow.
Wow. Wow.
Wow.
Shots.
Oh, man.
I'm looking for a fire extinguisher, but I can't
Sorry.
find one.
Has to
That
be
was
said.
that was brutal.
I mean, you have done a lot though, but to like from my viewpoint, I think that's actually that shows a lot of like perseverance. It's like it's kind of impressive. You're like, oh, died, next one, like let's go. As that's kind of it's
See,
kind of
I think what
impressive.
really changed for me is that when I started like when I didn't really play the game actively until played quite a lot in Tempest, but then I really started hardcore in 1 month hardcore. Like I've had 3 days since the 1 month hardcore where I haven't streamed for like 6 to 8 hours. Um, and back then I was Cyclone, and there was so many map mods Cyclone couldn't do, and I would use like 10, 15 C per map, just rolling them really safely. And if Weasel or Car would be like, "Hey, you want to do this min max triple damage crit map?" I'd be like, "No, go away." I would just do safe maps. Whereas now, especially like in like Talisman or Brandis, I would be like, "Okay, let's do this double damage thing, or let's do a level 80 red bull with invisible wolves." And I'd been a little more careless, I think.
Did you have a guardian though?
No,
Oh, okay. Because
no, I didn't. Most
that's
of the times
pretty
I died, I
huge.
didn't have a guardian.
Well, when you died, like I actually talked to some of your viewers, and they said that I only really feel bad when Ziz rips. When everyone else rips, I have a blast just like rubbing it in. But when Ziz rips, I get sad. I was just like,
Oh,
what makes it what makes you sad? Why is this stream so different?
It's
I
because
guess
he
what did
tries
they
so
because
say?
hard.
I guess because you really want it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I had a pretty funny rip earlier. The one to Fairgroves was pretty funny.
I mean, there's something to be said about like if you like say you're a streamer and you rip right and you flip out, your viewers will be like, "Oh, this is awesome. He's flipping out on stream because he ripped, right?" But the way you approach it is just so. I mean, recently it's just like you're like, "Oh, next one." It's just like everyone wants you just to get 100. It's like, come on, no, he's such a nice guy. This shouldn't happen to him. Like, why? Why is he ripping again? He's 99. Like, like it's just your attitude. Really, I think really it helps your viewers. You'll be like, no, we really want 100 for Ziz. While other streamers, they'll like flip the fuck out and just like log out, and the drama that surrounds it is like entertaining in itself. So
I have to ask, as a fellow streamer, how do you deal with the viewers? Like when they're like, "So what are you gonna roll this time, Ziz?" And you're like, "Vossmark, it is again." Like, what did you do with the?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is a very good question. It was actually a little irritating because I felt like Spark and Vosspark, I felt like it was just me doing something wrong with the build. I felt like I was like trying to push the build too hard because like every time I died, it was either like early on especially, it was the Scion wasn't really tanky enough without a coil. And I think the Scion would have made 100 too though if I like that was a bit of a perfect storm, like Ela weakness, like a split second before entering the boss. So especially once I got Fortify, then I started playing super cocky. And like I just felt like it was like the build that could really push 100. Like you get over 7k health and you get so much damage and just so much mitigation. So I was like, I kind of want to play Rave. I kind of want to play a few other things, but they're going to be at like 5.5, maybe 6k health. I was pretty sure I couldn't get much over 6k health with them. So it was just like the most obvious build to go level 100 with. It's like my first just building a base, and like having that level 100 character makes me so much more comfortable than other characters now.
so like after every death, did you just have to justify that to your chat? Because I'm sure your chat wanted you to roll something else, right?
Yeah,
How
yeah.
did you
A lot
keep
of
them
people were
entertained?
like, well, I mean, it was. I'm actually surprised I managed to still keep that many viewers while I was doing Spark for like that many times. I don't really know. Why were you guys watching that? No, I mean, people like watching high level maps, I guess, and like I try to like interact with people while doing it. So, and
I saw
it is a pretty good build to watch, I think.
I saw at one point your title said "New Build Vol Fireball," and I talked to Wabacha. I was like, "This is just misdirection. It's gonna be Vol Spark tomorrow."
Yeah.
And
Um,
sure enough, it was.
I was actually gonna do Wild Fireball, but I tested it on standard and I couldn't do it as a duelist. I actually would have to do that as a Witcher Templar, and I think that'll be a really good build, but you won't have the Fortify. So again, I just wanted like a really, really safe build for pushing level 100.
Well,
Yeah.
something about Valspark though is like, especially in its recent nerf, it numerically it looks like it got gutted. It
Hmm.
looks like it got absolutely demolished. So, to me, whenever I would watch your stream or see you still doing it, it was impressive. I was like, wow, like, you know, this is still good,
Yeah,
and it
because
got
I
gutted.
was Yeah, I know. Like I saw the patch notes and I was like, Valspark's been nerfed in every single way. But I was like reading through the nerfs and I was like, this doesn't seem that bad though. And I was thinking, I think the biggest nerf to Valspark, which I think is sort of overlooked, was the flasks being reduced to 6%. Because Reflect is a big issue for Spark. So before you kind of wanted to wear Sibyl's Lament to reduce the elemental effect. Now you're basically forced to. Because even with alchemy, you get what, 8% resist, right? With the alchemy node.
Mhm.
So like Reflect is scary, and you can't do Reflect maps. There's so many maps you can't do with like normal Spark. So that's why I was like, because we hadn't really had Valspark before with Voltaxic. And another problem before as well, like you get 18% more movement speed now, which is huge. It basically makes up for Whirling Blades. So Whirling Blades getting nerfed, and you now have another place to get movement speed from. Plus, you get the Onslaught Potion. That's another movement speed buff. That actually makes up for those nerfs, and like let us have another way of playing Valspark.
I love
And
that silver flask.
mhm.
It's
Yeah,
so
And
good.
it's
like
my new
when I
favorite
first
class.
bought, I bought one of the first Stack Harvests on the server, do you know how much I paid for the first Stack Harvest?
No idea.
Eight fusing.
What?
And then I managed to, and I bought my first set of Stack Harvest pretty cheap. Like I paid like less than 20C for three. And you know what? I should have just kept buying them. I had no idea the price was going to go up so much. And then I died, rebought another set, died, rebought another set, died, rebought another set, and by the time I was on my fourth set, I was paying like 1.5 to 2x per Stack Harvest, and I was like, this is not good.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
that like absolutely molested my currency.
it's interesting to see like how the devs communicate with the community and they're like, we nerfed this to the ground. And then the immediate reaction is, oh, it must be a dead build, but really
Yeah.
it just takes a little time and people are like, wait, this is actually still really good. Ascendancies are OP and let's keep running it. I wonder how the devs feel about this.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting as well. But I think like the final nerf, like because I was playing Valspark for quite a while, but then they did actually sort of nerf it mid-league. There was one optimization change that they did, and suddenly I couldn't play Valspark anymore. I would literally get like 4 to 5 second screen frames. So I would just use Valspark for bosses then, and spark my way through maps.
Yeah, Spark is really good now too. I mean,
Yep.
it's been good for a while, but yeah, it's kind of the Spark Voltaxic build is actually like, it looks really fun. It looks different. I've always liked the idea of casting using the Voltaxic, and
Mhm.
that definitely takes care of clearly any reflect issues that you'd have,
Yeah.
and then like poison on top of it. Do you even really use the poison portion of it,
Oh yeah,
or
no, the poison is huge.
the poison's
It's
huge?
a lot of your damage, yeah, especially
Yeah.
with all the double dipping, and once you get double
Oh yeah.
dipping jewels as well, it's really big. But
So,
I do wish I could have like kept Valsparking. It was just the lag issue.
so was every version of your Sparker a duelist, or did you change it? Did you think about changing
Yeah.
it?
The first three were Scion. So at first I tried off with like a really like day one focus build, where I went Scion and I went all the way up to like Elemental Overload and stuff like that. And because I wanted to experiment with Elemental Overload because it was a new skill. And that worked out really well. It was really, really strong early game. I managed to get 160k or something to tip DPS with support, which is a lot higher than I actually managed to get on the duelist. But obviously, you have the double dipping there from the projectile damage, the chaos damage nodes. So probably around the same damage, but you have like the tediousness of keeping elemental overload up, which I used Orbis Storms for. And then I found that I kind of wanted to focus more on the double dipping, especially for like boss kills and stuff, because that's really strong once you start stacking poison. So
Mhm.
then I went Scion, but I went down to the Proj nodes and more like Ranger Duelist tree. That was really good too. But then once I died, I was like, you know what though? I don't really need like the 50% pierce from Scion, and I don't really need the added more damage from Berserker. Let's just go Duelist. I still have enough damage. So it sort of evolved quite a lot. That's the other reason I kept playing it. I wanted sort of to like perfect the build.
And it was a
Well,
bit more automated too, right? At that point,
Yeah.
because you didn't have to orbital storms anymore. You were just like gun and
Yeah, Orb
go.
Storm's got a bit painful.
Yeah,
you
I mean,
know, that's a couple days ago. Well, I think it was yesterday or the day before. Havoc was streaming the solo self-found challenge, and he was talking about going. I can't remember what he was talking like what versus. It was something against duelist, against going champion, and he's like, I have the damage. Like if I could one shot things as a duelist, as a champion, why would I do the one that gives me more damage?
Hmm.
And that's what it kind of, it kind of sucks because I know a lot of people. I mean, champion is like super popular. I'm even playing
Yeah.
champion on my build, and there's a lot of defense in it, and just like when it comes down to it, most of the builds that exist right now don't need the damage. That's why going champion's so damn good, because you're just adding a huge layer of defense. And like you were saying, 18% movement speed is nothing to be shrugged off. I mean, will a
yeah.
Whirling Blades build be a little bit faster? Generally, but 18% is still a ton of movement speed to throw on top of whatever else. So,
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, it's huge.
movement speed and attack speed. I feel like are the greatest stats to look for in making a build because it gives you both offense and defense. It gives you the ability to dish out, a lot of hits or spells or whatever, and it allows you to escape quickly and get to the next spot. So I think those are like my favorite two offense defense hybrid stats.
Well, something I think that which is sort of overlooked, like a lot of people, especially on software, right? You'll go for like these like crazy high DPS builds, but after a certain like tooltip, movement speed or just like faster whirling is more important for your actual clear speed. So
Mhm.
at the end of the day, it doesn't matter like how fast you're killing things, like you're gonna at some like you get a critical mass of damage where all
Right.
you want is more movement speed.
Yeah, you talk about critical mass, and every skill has that break point, and at that point, you're just like, well, I don't really need more cast speed. I just need more AOE. I just need it to cover more area, or it could be more projectile speed or whatever. Just it needs to get there faster. It needs to touch more monsters, and then you have great clear speed. But yeah, I like that you mentioned critical mass because I feel like almost every skill has that break point where you're just like, okay. I don't need damage anymore. I need something else that's going to help my clear speed because I'm just
Yeah.
one-shotting everything.
it's kind of hard to identify that though, because that's such a like an
Yeah.
abstract kind of concept generally. I mean, because it's sometimes it's not really apparent, what could help your clear speed.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
but yeah, movement speed and things like
That's
that.
what makes this game interesting. You
You're
got to
right.
find it. Yeah. You got to
Right.
find that nice median where you're
Balance.
one-shotting shit and clearing fast.
Right. Well, let's go ahead and move on
Well,
to.
hold up. I
Whoa,
wanted
whoa,
to talk
okay, all
about
right.
the ascendancy choice, the duelist. Do you guys, you're both playing duelists, and after seeing the class representation from Carl, was it Carl or Chris? They posted the list of, what are the popular choices in each league. Do you guys feel like the champion is going to get a nerf or deserves a nerf, or how do you guys feel about the
Yeah,
champion overall
definitely.
compared?
I mean, I feel like melee had one advantage over ranged, like, or not even an advantage over ranged. I mean, right now, like, you can either be ranged and, like, kill things just by looking at them, or you can be melee and you have to travel between the packs and kill them, regardless of how strong you are defensively. Now, melee had, like, the benefit of you got Fortify, which ranged didn't have unless you were, like, using daggers and you were creative with whirling blades and stuff like that. But now, like, I. I feel like there's no reason to go melee right now other than, well, I want to. There's no
Yeah.
like, dude, I went like this really strong melee build, it's face rolling everything. It's so much better than Lightning Arrow. You don't have that at the moment. It's just, I want to play melee. I like melee characters. That's fine. But that's the only reason to go melee right now, in my opinion. And I love playing melee. I fucking play the shit out of Cyclone, Double Strike when that was good as well. But I don't feel like I can go like, dude, I'm gonna go this really strong Double Strike build. It's so meta right now.
To 100,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. There's just what advantage does melee have right now? There's none. You go ranged, you get fortify, you have enough damage, you face roll everything.
So specifically, you think it's a problem with Fortify, right?
Yeah, I don't think range should have access to fortify.
Okay, how do you feel about this?
I mean,
Sure.
this honestly, like this kind of idea that it needs to get nerfed, just kind of makes me sad. because just like introducing permanent fortify was so damn good, and like even if you reduce its effectiveness by 50%, it's still going to be a great option. It's still going to be great. So like what this is saying is like true to a degree, right? Like range probably shouldn't just have access to this because it's so good, because you're always going to be able to get enough damage. You're always going to be able to do all that stuff without ascendancies, and then you have that, and then it's just extra defense. And it's we always talked about for a long time, we always talked about how the right side of the tree didn't have enough life. You didn't have enough mitigation, blah 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 blah. How the left side of the tree that had all the physical damage mitigation also had the most life. Like this kind of like backwards thought process of how that works, right? But now, when I look at it, I'm like, well, maybe they had obviously they've had this in mind for a really long time, and maybe this was their answer. They're like, you know what, range characters could all now have fortify if they do it like this, and it's so good. And it would, how they always say like it sucks to introduce something but then have to take it away. That's why it makes me sad, because
So if you were,
so good.
hypothetically a dev for a day and you got to choose, like, how would you go about balancing the champion?
Me?
Wabacha.
I mean, you if you have an idea, Ziz, you can go for it. I would have
I
to
mean,
think
what
about
what
that.
would you guys be opposed to, instead of just you have fortify, just allowing the range class to maintain the physical mitigation but not have the other parts like the elemental chaos, and like if it just said 20%
Of physical damage.
yeah, instead of all damage.
Yeah.
Would that be a bit more fair, or do you think it would
Well,
be?
it's just like, even if it was like 50% reduced effective fortify, I don't get why it's increased. Like, it's not even just that you get fortify, it's better than fortify. It's 24%, not just 20.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of a slap in the face to melee characters, because the original intention of Fortify was to make melee better or have a reason to go melee. Oh, they get
Yeah.
this new tool, but then they're like, oh, we're not going to give it to archers or wanderers or whoever the hell wants to use it. And now it takes that special thing from melee away from them, and now you have less of a reason to play melee again.
But then we run into the same issue. Like,
What do you mean the same issue?
well, the thing that people always complained about before, which was just like, oh, the right side doesn't have as much physical damage mitigation. It's so RNG, blah 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 blah. We don't have enough life to cover for what we have to, rely on RNG for, evasion, dodge, etc., etc. Like
Well,
it's such a great answer to that, but
Was this was going to say something?
yeah, I mean, we have Basel Potion now. I feel like Basel Potion fixed a lot of, like, you have a Taste of Hate and a Basel. That's a lot of mitigation
Mhm.
right there.
right, yeah, that's true. I mean, that's definitely true, but yeah, I mean, I agree. I hate that we had this like this ascendancy introduced, and it's so good, but that everyone's kind of talking about the idea that it should either be nerfed or removed, and it's just like I don't like that it was given and then it's going to be absolutely, because I feel like if there is a change to it, it's going to get demolished. But I don't.
But I mean, look at Vol
All right, I was about to say that. Like,
Well, that's the thing, though. Like, Valspark, can you imagine where it would have been if it didn't get nerfed? With all the buffs it got from Ascendancy?
well, I mean, you one-shot things anyway, right?
Mm,
You were at that critical mass of damage. I mean, kind of at that, like, to your own point, when you're at that critical mass, it doesn't really matter, you know?
it would have been insane if it didn't get nerfed.
Yeah, but right. I don't
You
know.
wouldn't hit-
What do
you
you
wouldn't
think
hit
about it,
100.
Hedgie? You haven't played Champion at all.
Yeah, so actually the one character I haven't made or rebuilt, I just think, 20% representation is really, really high. And I think it would be better balanced if it was just 20% physical mitigation. I think there's too many other perks. Fortify, like, look at Beacon of Ruin. It's a different version of Prolift, not a stronger version of Prolift. It could be, argued both ways. Prolift has the downside of the mana multiplier.
But it doesn't have less
the
damage on it, so to that
Yeah, but
degree,
it has
it is
less AoE. But the duelist, the champion, gets a fortify, and then they get to improve it within the ascendancy tree, and then they can improve it again if they want, on the other part, like rampart or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not like they do that, but I'm just saying they could if they wanted to. It's like, so why do they get a stronger version of an already existing feature? They should just get a slightly different version, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, to your own point, Ellie Prolif is Beacon of Ruin is a better Ellie Prolif. The AoE is what 25% smaller, but it doesn't have a less multiplier on it, and it's a free gem slot. I mean, that's essentially the same thing. Like the way you use it, you still use it for Prolif, right?
Right.
So I mean, clearly you would. It's kind of the same thing.
But it's not the only option for Prolif. I could go Inquisitor Prolif, and that's a very good option. Or I can go Trickster Prolif, and that's also... I mean, I just switched the jewels or the support gems that I use with it. I don't use an increased crit gem. I use a Prolif gem with an Assassin, and I don't use a pen gem with the Inquisitor. I use a crit gem and the Prolif gem.
Right.
So it's kind of like switching it out and getting a little perks here or there. But this is different. This is something that's attainable from one class and not others. Like, you can't play another archer with Fortify from another class.
Well, so on that real quick, though, people are saying in chat right now, like, is this really only a hardcore issue? And I would agree with that 100%. Because if I'm not playing hardcore, of course I'm going to go Deadeye. Of course I'm going to go Raider. Of course I'm going to go Assassin. Like, if I don't need the damage mitigation, then I'm not going to do it. And so it's much more of a hardcore problem. But then people in standard leagues, and this is what kind of I feel like a lot of members of the community don't like realize, or like newer players, but a lot of standard builds are built the same way as hardcore builds because you don't want to die, you don't want to lose your experience, and that's one of the reasons why champion is still strong. But yeah, I mean, it is kind of much more.
It just needs to be adjusted numerically. And I think it'd be. I mean, the design of it is really good. I don't want that to change. It should have movement speed. It should have armor, EV. It's unique to the character, and it should have that flat damage reduction. But I think they can change stuff numerically so it's not so appealing. There's more of a reason to go something else in hardcore without changing anything in softcore, right? It's just changing the duelist numerically. I think it would be in a good spot because 20% representation, if not more, is pretty damn high, especially when there are so many other ascendancy classes.
Well, and something else I want to bring up as well in the softcore versus hardcore debate. Like, I got asked a lot, like, oh, how would you build this differently on softcore? And I would always reply, I wouldn't. Like, initially I started saying Scion because that's slightly more damage, but again, like, you already have critical mass damage. So the 18% movement speed that the duelist gets is still the best in slot, in my opinion, for softcore. Right. And it's been like a lot of softcore players aim for level 100 as well, or 95 plus, and dying at 90 to 95 on softcore still sucks. That's a lot of XP. That's a lot of hours of your life gone. So Fortify helps out a large deal on softcore as well.
Yeah, and I love that you say that because a lot of people won't recognize that amount of defense as great offense because it allows you to play so aggressively. It allows you to do harder maps. It increases your clear speed because if it doesn't matter if you do 1,000,000 DPS if you're kiting a mob 3 or 4 rooms away, because if you get touched by it, it's going to kill you. When you have something that's stronger, aggression is clear speed and more XP per hour and the ability to do harder maps. I mean,
more loot per hour too. Like, higher player speed is better quantity, basically.
You don't want to be a squishy, one trick character that can, might have to leave a map because it's too difficult.
My only concern about maybe like removing like the elemental, the fact that it reduces damage taken from all sources instead of just physical, kind of like what you're suggesting, is that, like Ziz is saying, we do have Lightning Coil, we do have Basalt Flask, we have all these other things, we have Taste of Hate, we have all these things that already does that, and we don't have too many things that do it with elemental. And so it's just like, if you remove that portion of it, I just wouldn't even bother with it. I don't think I would bother with it. I think I would just rather go the damage route at that point. But I mean, I don't know.
But you're still
like
on the fence and making
like
the decision.
Right? I don't want it to be changed.
He's like, leave Fortify alone, or leave Champion alone.
Yes, please. Maybe the movement speed should be removed on it, and it should be changed to something else. 18% increased maximum life. No, I'm totally joking.
Like, the problem for me right now is if I want to push the build to level 100, like the choice is champion. If
Mhm.
my goal is level 100, it's champion all the way.
But a lot of
There's no
people
other
have
choice
done
for me.
100 without champion.
Yeah, I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm
Right.
saying it's safer as champion.
That's actually kind of interesting stat. Maybe we should find out the. I mean, it's probably going to be super high, and this whole argument is probably going to backfire like right in my face. But
How
maybe,
many of the level
yeah,
100s?
how many level
I
100s
think
are
it's pretty
champion?
varied, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably pretty easy to look. But watch is going to be like 40%, and you're like, see, Wabachaw, you're an idiot. God damn it. But
Well, maybe Ziz can look that up for us.
Yeah, I'm
But
checking it now.
yeah, well, while Ziz is looking that up, do you want to go and move on to the next?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so this is going to be one of the new segments that we do on What's Up Wraeclast. We're going to be highlighting a build. I don't know if we're going to do this every episode, but I think we're going to try to do this like every episode, maybe every other episode. But this week's build, the first one, Hedge is going to take it from here because he chose this build. It is, boom, Darky's CI Poison Miner. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, and the reason why I chose this build is because, I mean, it's phenomenal. It's unique. It's something the game has never seen. He actually hit level 100 completely different than what Ziz was doing. Ziz was brute forcing so many, I don't know, so many specific maps in such a way where he was able to just blast through them with Flask and running to the end and clearing it with Spark. This guy, he did it very methodically. He farmed certain pieces and put a build together that could farm Uber Itziri. And if you don't know what Uber Itziri is, it's a zone that's significantly harder than the original. It comes with 100% more monster life. It also comes with 100% increased damage. And this place is so rippy. You need to cover your bases with so many different things that's going on. But the original discussion is going to include, like, we're going to break down what we like about this build, what it offers, and how it's so different. And I love that he hit 100 with it just by farming this zone. The zone that everybody fears in hardcore. He tailored his build with a skill that's so unpopular, which are mines. Like, you don't see many miners running around, and what he's done is just so impressive. So first thing I wanted to bring up was the tools that he uses, and one of the.
Oh, I'm sorry, real quick.
Go ahead.
Ziz, did you find out the number of the champions?
Yeah, it's like 40 to 50% of level 100s are champion.
Oh my god. Okay, and then
Nerf it.
damn it.
A lot of champions there.
So
20
like
maybe?
before Hedgie dives into this a little bit more, I see some people are saying here it's not just like Darky's build. This is just like, Darky showcased it on YouTube. He made a video about it.
Right.
We're not.
Okay, so
this is
he
just
might
what we're
not be
saying.
the creator of it, but he executed it perfectly. Like,
Right.
I mean, he did it in hardcore. He did it very methodically, and he knows every corner and every detail about it. So much that he made a very thorough YouTube video, and it's like a great guide. If you haven't checked that out, we'll link it in the
Yeah,
description.
we'll link it in the description. What you guys are seeing right now is just like a little thing I put together to show him killing all the bosses. So do you want me to go over to the gear now while you're talking about it?
Well, I wanted to mainly talk about the blasphemies because that's like one of the strengths of this build.
Okay.
Blasphemies are something that's been added to the game that we haven't really seen with the introduction of Itziri. How do you guys feel about the current power levels of blasphemy?
I think it's fairly balanced because the way like things can still snapshot outside of blasphemy range and kill you pretty easily. So I think they're great.
In
A
terms
little
of
sad the reduced mana got like increased on it, but I guess it was needed.
Itziri, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think it's over the top for Itziri
is.
because they designed Itziri to be curse immune, not be ignited. She's not affected by status ailments. And what's killing her now? Poison, which is a glorified status ailment, and then we have blasphemy, which curses her. So that to me that's so surprising that when they were making blasphemy, they're like, okay, well how are she's affected by blasphemy, right? Am I talking out of my ass right now?
No, she's affected. Mm-hmm.
Can you curse
It's even
her?
better because she doesn't reflect it back.
Oh wait, that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not like I haven't done Zeri too many times, but yeah, like blasphemy owns Zeri
Yeah,
because she's designed around reflecting it.
Hmm.
So I think it's over the top, absolutely over the top.
So one thing I want to talk about, hold on, get my phone. One thing I want to talk about with blasphemy is it's one of the things that GGG has introduced without it being watered down. And I guess they made up for it with
What
the
do you mean
mana
watered down,
cost.
real quick?
Because if we look at cast when damage taken, cast when stun, those all have drawbacks, right? Or anything like spell totem, range attack totem, they have downsides. Like you'll be able to use a skill, but it'll be at a reduced effectiveness.
Hmm.
However, blasphemies, they don't have a reduced effect. It doesn't say like your curses are now,
Yeah.
or same thing with curse on hit. Curse on hit has a reduced effectiveness attached to
Oh
it.
yeah.
So
Okay.
blasphemy is a straight up you get 100% of what you're gonna get, and the Heretic's Veil is the new unique that was introduced.
I'm gonna
And
go to the.
yeah, if you could show that on the
Yeah, of
stream.
course.
But this only enhances it even further. And I like how whoever it was that created this build and Darky that used this, he recognized the amount of power that's within this. This helmet is so good because it gives you multiple sources of defense, both evasion and energy shield, and it enhances the overall effectiveness of your curses and reduces the cost of your curses. And he's blown away that this item made it into the game. I'm kind of glad it exists, but I feel like the blasphemy support or the way blasphemy works is a bit too strong. And I've seen a spike in the actual enchant, the 20% increased temp chains effectiveness. That has definitely made this helmet so expensive, and people are farming the lab over and over just to get it because it's so fucking godly.
I feel like this is gonna turn into a legacy unique. Like I
Yeah.
think, like
I don't
that
want it to
blasphemy is
though.
gonna get reduced. Yeah, yeah. I see. I was saying that with champion. Uh, but yeah, like that. Even the reduced mana on it is like super good because that alone lets you run 3 blasphemies, right?
See, I actually think it doesn't need to turn into Legacy Unique. I actually think it's okay, and let me tell you why, right? So right now you have a huge advantage to being in a group, and the best cursors are like Scion cursors with, like level 4 enhanced Quill Ray, and you get the eye shot, you get the double stacking. I
Mm-hmm.
have never felt this safe. Like I would take Nice Shot's Scion over a Guardian support any day. Both are great, and like both at the same time are great. But if I had to choose between one, I would go for the Quill Rain, like 16 Quill Rain with an enhance any day over someone supporting me with Blasphemy. And I think Blasphemy is really strong for solo, but I think solo really does need a little love. There's so many benefits of being in a group and like having a separate support, and you get to split like Xana modifier costs as well. There's so many benefits of being in a group, so few of being solo.
Right, but in terms of this, he's not using this for mapping.
Right.
He's not using it in a group setting anyway. He's doing it something that people
No, but
usually
you're not
approach
going to
solo.
balance items against Aziri.
Yeah, and that's a good point. That is a good point because but items shouldn't be balanced versus Zeri. Like that's very very true.
Yeah, but at the same time, I feel like they should still stick with their guns. With anything that's automated, needs to be like a worse version
Mm-hmm.
of the original. Like if you take the time and effort to manually cast something, it should be the most potent form of it,
Hmm.
right? When you're combining multiple actions or automated actions, why is it fair that blasphemy gets so much stronger? Like especially with this helmet.
I'm sure
So
that came up when they were designing it. I mean,
yeah, that's why I think maybe that's why they were like when it originally started out as a 25% reduced reservation or
yeah, that's true.
reservation. They were like, man, we need to jack this up quick, and then we saw the 35. But yeah, I mean, just this helmet, his whole build with remote mine or someone else's build, it's just really, really astonishing because we've seen Atziri farmed at the very early stages, right? When it was introduced, Havoc did the snapshotting. We had a lot more max res available on the tree. He would bring like a handful of regrets so that he could snapshot auras, and the approach was way different, right? If you wanted to curse Atziri, you had to put it on a spell totem so that it would cast it on that and reflect it back to the totem, which wouldn't happen because you can't curse totems. So the overall difficulty of that fight, the Atziri fight or the Atziri encounters has been made easier, And is this really good for the game? Are these tools too powerful? Like, what do you guys think?
I'm
You,
surprised Blasphemy works on Azeri. I mean, just in general.
I mean, the downside with curses,
Like I
is
said,
having curse immune mobs, right? But
right.
all the bosses in that fight, should they go back and readjust it, or like, what do you guys think about that?
I think an easy choice would just to make if they don't want curses to work, like or want blasphemy, you could easily just make Azeri curse immune, and then people would just have to deal with her without curses anyway. Like a lot of people, if like before blasphemy, no one, I at least I didn't know anyone really cursing her a lot, and
See, I actually hate the idea of her becoming curse immune because it goes away from the original design. I just think it maybe have reduced effectiveness or something, or I don't know. I just think the blasphemy thing could be fixed, and then that would fix everything.
Well,
see, I think blasphemy is okay because of ranged mobs. I've seen like, for example, if you look at Demiris level 98 or 97 died because ranged mobs killed them outside of the range of blasphemy.
another thing too is a lot of people keep talking about how you know no end game bosses or content has really been added. Like the labyrinth is kind of like a mid to end game, right? But nothing like its Ziri has been added. I mean, I guess you could kind of say Rigwald, but Rigwald isn't in the core game as of right now, and I don't know when he's going to be returning. But you know, I think it's kind of. I mean, maybe this just points to the fact that we need another option. We need another new end game boss. We need something else for these players to do because, of course, you're always going to release like new skills. You're always going to release new gear. Things are always, uniques are going to come out, builds are going to come out, passives, blah 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 blah. All these things are going to change. It's going to trivialize some part of the game to a degree, and it's just like if you want to continue like further development, I don't really think it's good to get caught up or hung up on something you designed before instead of just designing something new because that's what people want anyway. They want something new.
Yeah, I mean, they have changed act bosses and they have added abilities to bosses, but I think its series should probably stay the same. I'd be kind of sad if the bosses became curse immune because people that have builds that rely on the curses to get the damage done. Perhaps blasphemy is not the problem. Perhaps it's something else. Maybe it's poison. Maybe it's
Right.
the potency of the double dipping and things like that. But in his video, Darky stresses that his first character died because he ran into a curse immune, was it viper or snake, and it almost globaled him, just like killed him so fast. And I guess that would be the counterbalance. When you run into a curse immune mob, your defenses are kind of like shut down. And he was able to sustain this, his journey to 100 because the sets were so cheap in hardcore. I don't know what they are in the Piranha Softcore League, but he said it was like 35C a set.
Yeah.
So
How much experience do you get for it?
I don't know exactly, but he said he did around 175 to 200 runs from level 94. But you have to consider that all the mobs inside are at least blue. So you're getting level 80 guaranteed blue mobs, and he's destroying it. I mean, those Bladefall remote mines do so much damage, and he stressed that his build really sucks for mapping because you really need the Beanos to prolif and get good clear speed, and it's just kind of clunky. But I like how it was designed in such a way that it was a very, very good Atsiri killer and not a very good mapper.
And that's a good choice to have.
Yeah, I mean,
And that's a choice that we should probably have a little bit more of in the game.
and when you look at his gear, it's not like it's GG, oh my god, this is mirror worthy, and that's why he's able to do this. I mean,
Right.
yeah, he does have a 6 link, but he's using a Eye of Chayula. And anyone who farms this area knows that getting stunned and then getting clipped sucks. It really does. Like, you either have great movement speed and deal with the stun, get a quick stun recovery, whatever, and then get out with either whirling blades. But if you get clipped by a spear and then you get clipped by a storm call or a flame blast, you're dead. And he's taken this to another level by incorporating some of the other uniques like Sorrow of the Divine, 650 ES regen per second.
I like that flask.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like, not only do you get the double dipping from the sulfur implicit, the 40% increased damage, if you could show the stream,
Yeah, yeah, I'm already
but
doing it.
like this is the one way that you can get like an energy shield regen pot. It gives you Zealot's Oath, which converts your life regen into ES regen. So it's very unique, and I don't see anyone else using this. Do you guys see anyone else
I've
using this
actually
class?
used this on my hybrid Shockwave Totem build because I have enough ES that if I just keep this rolling and it has a like a nice duration to it, it just keeps my ES topped up. And like if I take a big hit, I'm gonna pot anyway.
But don't you
So
find yourself moving fast anyways, like moving from point to point? Or how
I mean,
big is the AoE? Do you make
oh,
an
but that's the
effort?
thing. Like, it not only do you don't need like for the way I've used it, I don't need the 4% life regen from consecrated ground because I already have life regen on my build. So when I do use it, I'm getting life regen while I'm in that AOE or energy shield regen while I'm in the AOE, and then I'm getting energy shield regen even when I'm out of it because I still have. And
Mm.
also, I'm using a stone golem, so that gives me flat. I also use enduring cry, so like this flask actually for a build that I've played it with, it keeps me topped up always. Like I'm hybrid, but I don't ever take 2k worth of ES damage and then have to let it kind of charge up naturally. It just keeps me topped off. I like this flask. Were you gonna say something? I'm sorry.
No,
Oh, have you seen it? Have you seen it used in any
Yeah.
other builds, or like what do you think of this flask?
I think it's like really, really strong for CI. Like a lot of builds don't want to go near Zealot's Oath as well. So yeah, and no, it's crazy. It saves you so many skill points. Especially, I think it's especially good for a Zeri or boss killing fights. I don't think I'd particularly want it for like mapping or anything, but for a Zeri, it's insane.
You don't think it's that good for mapping for a CI character? Even I mean, it seems
Yes.
pretty generous with the charges. 20 out of 60, and it lasts
So it's,
almost
yeah,
7
20.
seconds.
Mm.
I just don't know. Like, I don't have that much experience with how big the consecrated ground is, and
It's not
Yeah.
that big, but
I don't know how much
well,
percent
the thing
regen you
is,
can
like,
stack.
if you think
No, I
about
mean
it,
I'm
right?
sure it can be good for mapping, but it's excellent for boss fights.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is like like Ziz was saying, this could potentially save you a number of points, a number of passive points, right? If you
Mhm.
could save those passive points and just get life regen elsewhere on the tree, like if we look at Darky's tree, I don't know. I'm kind of going out on a limb here. I actually don't even know if this is true. But anyway, like over here, you have growth and decay, which gives him damage over time. He doesn't take it, but you could potentially use this because once you use that flask, you're going to be getting that life regen from it. You're going to be getting 2% life regen, and you're getting the damage from the damage over time effects.
Yeah, I think definitely anything that does really good with ignition damage or poison, or maybe in the future bleed. This flask is really good because that 40% has it can double dip with anything really. Poison, bleed, fire, ignite.
Right. Yeah, that's another reason why I really like it because of it. This is just 40% increased damage.
Yeah,
It's
something
it's a
very,
lot.
very specific can be very powerful. I really like that design. You just got to make the right choice. He also said that the Azeri promise was pretty much
Mm.
mandatory for this build because it just gives you so much damage,
Hmm.
and it'll double dip, and it's just insane. Aside from that, it's interesting that he started out as an occultist, and then he ended up dying on that character, and he made a Scion version, which he went Hierophant occultist, and he said the difference was around 1100 ES, 1100 ES, and the occultist did more damage. But he
Mm.
does this really awesome thing. I don't know if you've seen it on the trio fight. He does like this fist pump thing where he pumps totems over and over
Yeah.
again to get power charges.
Oh, I was wondering what he was doing. I thought he was talking about something on the build, and I had
Oh,
it
yeah.
muted when I recorded it.
He's like, you don't have to do this, but you can if you want to get an extra damage boost. I mean, get some crit chance. But overall, poison doesn't even really need it. So that
Yeah.
goes me into my next discussion is how do you guys feel about poison in the current state of the game, even after the nerfs, both on the right side and on the gem or on the support gem? How do you guys
Well,
feel like the current state?
I feel like double dipping needs to be gone. I think that's the only problem with poison right now. I think if you remove double dipping, then you have something that evades reflect, which is super powerful on its own. Reflect is really scary for every other build, both physical and elemental. Poison and chaos in general doesn't have that problem, but the fact that you have more damage as chaos or poison, and you're immune to reflect, that's too much. It's too much for one build. You have to choose. You can't have everything.
I mean, I think. I mean, don't you think that removing double dipping, like everything that double dips with it, I don't know if you mean everything or just like just removing double dipping in general in terms of it, but don't you think that would like kill its damage like way too much?
It should. I mean, I still think you should be able to do
But
enough
would
damage,
people use
especially
it
for
if
Soto.
the damage was so?
Yeah, but you evade reflect. That's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Like
I
gives
mean
you
that was
other
But it's
items.
always been like that. But of course, we haven't had poison the same way
Mm.
for ever.
yeah. I mean, a long time ago, years ago. I think 2.5 years ago, I had a podcast with Carl and Rory, and we talked about the state of chaos damage. And the original intent was chaos damage was never supposed to do more damage than others pure elements, but they have the luxury of not having to worry about reflect. That was
Yeah.
their original design. And I don't actually want to see the stacking thing go away. I think it's unique to poison, and I think changing it would be the wrong call. Maybe just adjusting it numerically,
Hmm.
but I don't know how you would go about doing that
Wait, are
without.
you talking about like the way chaos damage double dips your poison and your chaos damage, or are you talking about how like poison stacks as in multiple stacks of poison?
I'm talking about, yeah, poison damage stacking in with multiple stacks of like, increase area or conk effect
Yeah, I don't
or
like that.
projectile or whatever. Like I like that there are skills that can use double dipping mechanics. I just don't think that it's in the right spot numerically.
Hmm.
I don't want to see the multi stacking go away. Because I mean, we need to have unique elements and we need to have unique design. Everything can't just be the same. It should work differently.
I think the only thing that kind of sucks about poison right now is that the best way to, well, I guess actually this build is an example of it not relying on uniques because you don't need you just throw in a poison gem and you just bladefall mine. But like a lot of like the strongest poison builds in the past have been using things like consuming dark or voltaxic, and so, but even voltaxic you still need to use the gem. Consuming dark is like the exception, right? And now you
Yeah.
need to use two of them. And then Beano's was a great way to add prolif to it, but I mean, kind of a not very good prolif version of it, but it was still good
But it's
enough.
still good.
It was still good
It's still
enough. Yeah, it was still plenty good. Um, I don't know, like poison. We just need more chaos resist. Chaos resist needs to be a common modifier on maps, and I feel like that right there would alleviate that because the problem with the double dipping, and they've said this before, it's a mess for them. Like Rory has said it that the way it works is very convoluted, and it's actually just difficult for them to fix the double dipping. But having chaos resist added to maps, like having that mod more prevalent in monsters and then just adding it as a modifier for maps, prefix or suffix, and making it, pretty substantial, like just 40% chaos resist, which all damage is based around 0% chaos resist, right? Compared to damage being based around 75% of like fire, lightning, or cold, right?
Well, I think they start at a base of 65 and it goes up to 75.
Okay, right.
Right.
So, but if you add like a lot, what I'm saying is when you add 60% fire resist, it's not nearly 60 adding 60% chaos resist would be much more substantial than 60% fire resist. You just see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hmm.
So like maybe just adding chaos resist.
Yeah, and they got Chaos Pen with the Occultist. 15 Chaos Pen.
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
that they've never seen. So I can definitely see the sex appeal to this character, and I just love how he took a lot of the new items and made an even more powerful build than we've ever seen, and done it in such a way that it's never been done. I think Havoc did it 9 times back in Invasion or something, or
Yeah.
is it Beyond? He did 9 times before he died. But
Right.
even yeah, the approach was completely different.
Well, okay, real quick. J Dog said like there's already chaos resist on monsters though, and there's no chaos pen. So we do have chaos pen in occultist now, but not every class that uses chaos is going to be occultist. My point is, like, the reason why this might not be changed for so long is because it's such a problem for them in the coding. All the double dipping exists because of the way it's been coded, because of the way poison was added into the game. So giving mobs more chaos resist or adding that mod it's a band-aid, and it's a band-aid
Yeah.
that'll last for a very long time.
Yeah,
That's
agree.
why I say that, because it's just easier than removing double dipping.
Yeah, well, Azera already has resist chaos, right?
Yeah, but you just give them more. I mean, there are mobs
Yeah.
that have resist fire or resist elemental status, and you can still roll a map that has plus 60% fire resist. Like, I'm just saying, like, and the other thing is you could avoid it, right? Like, you could get, like, a really sick map, and, you know, it could be, like, triple pack size, like, Enfeeble, LE Weakness, and Vuln, right? And you're like, yes, I want to do this map, but then its final modifier is, like, plus 60% chaos resist. Like, then it's just kind of like, oh, well, this is, now I have Enfeeble and chaos resist to worry about. So,
Yeah, I mean the original thing with Poison Arrow and why it was so strong because it could literally run any map mod, and that was the appeal. And I kind of like that. I kind of like that existing, but there is literally like nothing that really checks Poison Arrow. It's still the build that can do any map mod just fine. This one, it wouldn't be able to do Blood Magic obviously because it needs the Blasphemies for the defense. I guess it might be able to if it's played very, very carefully. But, you know, when I go through this video and he's talking about his setup, it's very, very methodical. The amount of Vol disciplines that he uses, he has to swap it in and, you know, feed it souls, and then he's got to get every single keybind and keystroke correctly. There's little room for error, and he does this so well. And it's so different from the way I've seen Zizaran level up. He's just like zoning, boom, 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 boom. We're at the boss. All right, boss is dead. All right, next map. You know, it's just run and gun. It's a beautiful thing. I mean, the very first fight he uses 3 Bladefall Mines, 2 traps, and the whole time he's just cycling through his Vol skills. And then when he gets to the last boss in series, he talks about the Stormcaller, and the Stormcaller can't be shocked. And he's got every single thing covered. And he says Decoy Totem is mandatory for clearing trash for the obvious reason. I mean, the Vipers hit very, very hard and do a lot of spike damage.
Yeah, the blade is crazy.
Yeah, but Wabachai, do you want to go through and read some of the Reddit comments?
oh, yeah, well, we've already kind of talked a little bit about it. Oh, wait, what's going on here? The video is stopped playing. Sorry, guys. Let me look. Sorry, we were already kind of talking about it. Someone had said the top comment that was downvoted, the number one downvoted comment was just like, can't wait to see this get nerfed. And we, like I said, we were already kind of talking about like poison damage and how good it is and what needs to get changed. But you know what I want to say about that is, oh man, like kind of what I was saying earlier about Champion, how I hate that we get something added to the game, right? And then like getting it removed. And I know this is not the way it really is, but this is what it feels like to me. Whenever I see someone talk about like, oh, this should be nerfed, the only thing that I could like think of is like, you just want it to be nerfed because you're not playing it. And I know that's not correct. I know that's wrong. But like every time someone says something like that, it feels so salty, right? It's just like it's seeping of salt. And I get it. It triggers me. I'm like, why? Like, why? Like, because someone else has found something in the game. Like, this is eventually going to happen. It doesn't mean it should get nerfed. Like, right? Like, and then like the difficulty of pulling this build off with everything he's doing and all his gear. Like, players should be rewarded for the cool things that they're doing. And despite how easy it may look, I mean, if you think it should get nerfed and you think it's super easy to do it, go do it. That's what I think.
No, what he's doing is really hard and takes a lot of practice to do Uber theory. If you fuck up wasn't, I mean, even he died doing it, and he's done it a lot of times. So I definitely don't think that particularly should get nerfed. But
this is one skilled player. He's making it look very easy, but there's a lot of stuff going on, definitely. And I think the thing with chaos damage in general, I would be so sad to see this thing nerfed. I want to get that out there. I don't want to see this nerf. The fact that he put all this stuff together to make one powerful build to do a very specific thing, it doesn't deserve a nerf. But the whole idea of the chaos dot meta thing, what's the problem is that it doesn't need crit. So it allows so much flexibility to get all this defense. And maybe that's the problem. It takes, very little in the skill tree to get the offense going when you can just, beeline it to the defense nodes. Whereas other builds, like HP builds, feel like they need to get crit to make something happen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
straight from the horse's mouth, I mean, Darky himself said that he thinks it needs to be nerfed.
Yeah, he thinks that
Like
both the Heretic's Veil needs to get nerfed. And what else did he say needed nerf?
No,
I forgot.
know. He just said this build damage is dumb as hell.
Yeah, it's dumb as hell.
So
the Heretic's Veil only accomplishes the safety measure, right? It makes it
he's using vulnerability too. But
oh yeah.
Vulnerability is good. I mean, it's like essentially, it's like almost as good as being on shock ground. So, well, yeah, I think that's a good place to stop for our first build highlight.
Mm-hmm.
Darky CI Poison Miner.
Well done.
Well done. We're going to be doing these more. Let us know what you guys think. And yeah, we're going to be, figuring some out. We might do one of our own builds, but I personally don't want to do our builds. I feel like that's kind of vain. I don't really like that. Okay, let's go ahead and go back. So, back to normal podcast. I forgot what one of our topics were. Oh yeah, so the self-found solo found challenge league. Now we talked about this a little bit before. Hedgie, I'm just going to go through it just in case. Well, not in case, but people watching this on YouTube didn't see what we were saying. Hedgie, are you participating in it?
No, I've thought about it. I was thinking, should I really do something like this? But there's too many other things that I want to explore, and with real life constraints, I don't feel like I would be able to even compete. So I have opted not to do this. I might change my mind later. I don't know.
Right. And what about you, Ziz?
Yeah, no, I started playing it today after I finally hit level 100, so that's like the next thing I'm going to be doing. I'll probably be playing some of my, start a normal character on Piranha's Hardcore as well, like with all my currency.
Mm-hmm.
I want to try to do a Serious Favor Spectral Throw character. But yeah, I think the solo self-found thing is a really cool thing. I kind of don't like the whole delete your character and start over thing. I kind of wish it was just like, you die, you add that to your playtime.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's a really cool idea. I think like when your community like starts up things on their own, that's when you have a really good community.
And something that's actually kind of like what I think is interesting, and this is part of the reason why I don't want to do it, but I feel like playing solo self-found is pretty AIDS. Like no trading is pretty bad, and I think it's just going to. For the people who watch it, and if anybody does actually get level 100, which I'm sure they will, I think it's just going to highlight the power of trading and show like how good it is, like to actually participate in trading. Because I mean, I know Rise got a 6-link a couple days ago, yesterday I think, in the solo self-found league. But man, like this is just going to be a case study of like why trading is so damn good when it comes to pushing ladder and leveling as fast as possible. And then you only have 4 tabs. Have 4 tabs.
Yeah, but Piranha's League is sort of the league to do it in. You can get so many cool things off Piranha's. So much currency. I love it.
But you guys aren't doing it in Piranha's.
Where?
You are?
Yeah, they
Piranha's
are.
Hardcore.
How did Rise get the 6-link anyways? I missed that part.
He linked it in 4 views.
Yeah, I watched it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he got it was an occultist specimen, right? Yeah, or conjure or whatever. Oh yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. This is the right league to do that in, but still, managing 4 tabs with everything else, I'm already thinking of like how do you like handle your maps, because you're gonna get a ton of maps. Like the only thing I think is like at a certain point you're just gonna trade them all up. Like all of them,
Yeah, I mean, running Chaos Recipe, that's not going to happen. I mean, I think most people run the Chaos Recipe anyways so that they have, better trading power anyways. It's a really common coin.
Right. I mean, 4 tabs might not be bad because yeah, it's true you're not saving anything or selling it, but still, when it comes to mapping, that's pretty big. 4 tabs. I mean,
It's a new challenge.
it's yeah, yeah,
It's definitely there's so many constraints. Not being able to reuse your masters, having to re-level them up. It's taking the game in its purest form, and I think purists love it. They love to
yeah.
see how people handle the struggles of a fresh new account. The game is so much harder, like
I mean,
so much
it's
harder.
almost like Diablo 2, right? You had your stash, and that was it. You had your
But
stash and your cube. Like,
I'm going
yeah,
to talk about a
nothing.
couple side effects that I've seen, and a couple of things that I've experienced. This is pretty early in the league, and I feel like a lot of the mainstream streamers have said that okay, I'm bored with this league. We need something else. When is racing? When is racing?
Yeah.
Has racing started yet? And is this what we feared? Is this like the escalation of item acquisition and the content getting easier through ascendancy and power creep? Is this what we feared? Like, are people actually leaving? And from what I've noticed, from my experience, I did this challenge where I did start out on the softcore league, but I upped the ante. I told the stream, if I die, I will give away an exalted orb. Now I didn't have
Mm.
the exalted orb. I waited till I got to that point.
Yeah.
But now that I do, I've been paying out the people, that won the giveaway. And I went to go message this guy. I was like, "Hey, come collect your exalt." And you know what he said? He said to me, "I don't need it anymore because I don't play." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "All my friends quit. They said that they were bored of the league." And this was like 2 weeks in, and I was like, "Wow." How many of if you don't mind me asking, how many of your friends have quit? And he said, all of them, all four of
Yeah.
them. And they stick around, for about a month and a half to maybe 2 months if he's lucky. So now that all of his friends aren't playing, he doesn't want to play. So he's like, don't worry about it. I'm just like, wow. Is this a minority of people, or like, are people really tired of the game or tired of the league quicker? Or, I mean, how do you guys feel about
I
this?
think a lot of people quit this league a lot faster than normal leagues is because you can get like all the items you can complete. A lot of people only want to complete one build. Like a lot of people don't exclusively play Path of Exile, so it'll be like, oh, there's a new league in Path of Exile. I'm gonna complete this build and then I'm done. But in this league, that's pretty easy. It's for a lot of players, like Shavs, for example, Lightning Quill. All those items are so available, which to other leagues they haven't been. Like getting a Shavs like a year ago was hard. Now it's, oh, yay, 6,000 coins.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm having a lot of fun playing this league, and there's like a lot of things to do. But I mean, it's kind of I don't know. It's kind of true, and it's kind of the
Yeah.
culmination. I mean, like, you know, I remember we talked a little bit about that podcast that Crypt did with Chris, and that's kind of been a topic of discussion in a lot of streams recently, where he saw talking about getting level 100 in 6 to 9 months. And while it might take Ziz 6 to 9 months because he keeps dying. Oh, I'm sorry. I had to throw that in there. I had to just say that because I'm sorry.
That's
This is
good.
that was the last one. No more jabs at Ziz. But anyway,
Thanks.
yeah, like people could get 100 so fast, and it's like it almost feels like no big deal for the people that does it. So I don't know. This has been talked about a lot.
Yeah, I mean, what he's referring to is 2 years ago, or no, it was way longer than that, right? It was 2012, the December 2012. Crip did a little podcast with Chris, and their original design was predicting that people were going to hit 100 in 6 to 9 months, and that you were going to hit level 90, 92 in a couple months. And obviously, we've seen that escalate to getting to 100 in a matter of a week or two. And is this really good? I mean, the game has definitely changed. I guess it comes down to what kind of players are out there. Who makes up the majority? The
Hmm.
player that plays one build and leaves, or the player that's like Wabacha and I? We're build enthusiasts. We don't really get bored because we have so many things that we want to
Yeah.
test and we want to do. But how many players are out there that are like, all right, I just want to get to end game maps, experience the league, and then I don't really feel like leveling up again. Time to go play a different game.
Actix in chat said actually that's a pretty good point. For a lot of people, the league's done as soon as you get all the challenges.
Hmm.
Right.
And, like if that's your goal, like I don't sit there. I don't really worry about challenges. But when I see people spamming in trade chat, oh, 15 chaos to come kill this twin tier 14 map, like I'm not the person that would buy from that because I don't really care about my challenges, right? If I do them, I'm going to do them, right? But for a lot of people, they're just like rushing to finish all the challenges, and maybe that's why. I mean, it could almost not be related to the fact that, uh, the item acquisition and whatnot. Maybe the challenges this time around were much easier,
Yeah, they were. I
and
mean,
they were kind of more appealing because it wasn't just like an armor set that was a different color or whatever. It was actually like some cool like portal effect or whatever.
yeah, you got footprints, portal effect, a
Yeah,
totem pole, and what else? A weapon enchant.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, the last league was Rig Vault, and we got a completely new set from that. But I think
Was it a
more and
new
more
set? I
people are
thought it was just a
participating.
recolor of something else that already existed.
No, the Rig Vault set was introduced first, and then they
Oh,
Yeah.
offered the Gore skin
oh, okay,
through
all right,
the trading shop or whatever.
right.
But I mean, I feel another thing that I've noticed, a side effect from this self-found league starting, is a lot of people are participating, and I've noticed a boost in sales. I've
Hmm.
been making so many trades because I feel like a lot of those other people have just moved to a different account, right? And they're no longer trading or actively trading. So my items are now getting way more exposure. So I've had no problem selling like a crap ton of items when I was averaging maybe 5 items a day. Now I'm averaging like 20. So it's kind of another scary thing that I think about is how many times do we have to split up people, and is it going to get so thin where there's not enough people to supply the league?
Are you talking about splintering the community?
Yeah, like how many leagues is too many leagues until
Yeah,
it starts to feel like a ghost town or
right.
empty or dead?
Yeah, I see what you mean though, but I don't know if you ever look at the Steam charts for Path of Exile, but it was starting to dip pretty rapidly, and then the solo self-found league started up, and it actually like had a big spike back up again.
Right, right.
Yeah,
But
but
see,
only like 500 people registered for that, so I don't really see 500 people. That shouldn't be a big spike in terms of
Mm.
Path of Exile.
I think it's like 500 of the most avid long-term players that are participating and people that trade a lot. I mean, it kind of feels that way because how do I have a sudden influx in potential customers? Like
Yeah.
ever since the solo self-found league, I've been making crazy amounts of currency. Before that, it was like here and there.
Hmm.
Everybody wants my uniques. I'm just like, wow, I can actually sell this stuff now.
Yeah, because right now, people playing Path of Exile right now is 22,000.
Yeah.
And that's actually a lot higher than where we usually are, like at this time in the league. Like, when did Talisman start? Talisman started January? Or no,
I
not
don't, I don't
January,
know.
December. I don't know. Like, 22,000 is actually higher than where we usually are.
Well, it depends though. If you look at Tempest, it's declining a lot faster now, which I think is mostly Kadiro.
Mm-hmm. Wait, what do you mean, Kadiro? Like,
Like you finish your build so fast, like
mm,
and the challenges this league were quite a lot easier too. I think Tempest you had like both the Warbands and the Tempest. Like I didn't even finish like most of them there.
yeah.
So it's kind of like a trade-off to get so much with like increased participation in the challenge,
Yeah,
but then I guess people leave quicker.
yeah.
And there are different like breakpoints in the league. I feel like even though that I don't participate in the race to 100, I'm not a competitor. When Etup talks about it, he's like, the league loses a lot of its flavor as soon as one person hits 100,
Hmm.
and that it kind of affects me too because I like when I tune into Twitch and I see a lot of people really pushing themselves, really passionate about the game, and then when that passion just dips off, it's kind of like a buzzkill. It's not a really good feeling, and I want the league to last as long as possible because in order to make all the crazy amount of builds I want to make, it's going to require items and it's going to require people to trade, and the game is just so much more fun when there are a variety of items that I can get and when it's so hard to trade and you can't even convert your orbs from chaos to fusions, or it's like pulling teeth to get chisels. It gets very, very frustrating because you're so used to the norm of, oh my God, the league is banging. I can get anything that I want.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know if that affects you guys and how you guys feel about the game, with the popularity and if people are leaving. But I get sad. I get sad when people say that they're
Well,
quitting.
something I think would help a lot was, and I know like I talk about this a lot in my chat as well, and a lot of people liked one aspect of the 1 month hardcore where the league kept changing.
Hmm.
And I think like dynamic leagues, at least for like the first, like sure, it's great that in a 3 month, like at the last month of a 3 month, you don't feel like you have to play, you know? Whereas especially like the first 3 weeks, I feel like I have to log in like 18 hours a day to be competitive on the ladder. So the last month I can like mix and match some games, you know. But I think it'd be really cool. Like a month into the league, it would be like boom, like just to throw something out there, like oh portals are opening, there's invasions, something's happening that is new, and like they would bring a lot of people back into the game just to try out the new content.
I've always kind of thought that would be a cool idea too. Like you're saying that in the 1 month leagues, like every weekend would be different, right? You'd have a different set of modifiers, and I just don't understand why we don't have like two stages of a league.
Yeah.
Like just even that, because if we could, because do I think okay, say we have a 2 month league right now, right? Like people will play it for about 3 to 4 weeks, and then it'll start to taper off. I think that downtime is fine. I think the downtime is fine. I agree. Like Ziggy says this a lot. The downtime is probably appropriate for the kind of game Path of Exile is, because there's a lot you could do. It could be very intense. Like you're saying, you play 18 hours a day, or you feel like you have to for the first 3 weeks. Having downtime is good for the psyche, I guess you could say. But then having a second portion of the league that has something new, right?
Yeah.
Just could bring people back, and then they could just be playing again. And maybe they won't play as long as they did the first time, but like even if you do get another rush of like 2 maybe 3 weeks max of people playing, I think that would be good for the health of the game. And I just don't know. I just don't know what holds them back from that.
It wasn't too long ago where Chris said that he wants people to keep playing their game, and I think that's why they made the push for like back-to-back leagues. They've been really like working overtime to make sure that there was no downtime, which
Right.
I don't know
that
if
got
it's the
easier
right
for
call.
them because now they don't do two different leagues. They do one, and they have
Right.
a hardcore version. And so like you could say like, yeah, they're working so hard to do it, but they're technically doing, well, I don't want to say half the work, but they're not making two leagues. They're making one league and then putting a hardcore tag on one and a standard tag on the
But
other.
they're working harder on the league. It's not like
Yeah, but they're
they're
not
putting more money into one league instead of
right. But they
splitting it into
didn't.
two.
They okay. Let's just say they spent $2 million on a league, right? Each league cost them $2 million. I can guarantee you, one league is it cost them $4 million now.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's probably like in the maybe $3 million. Like just attaching numbers to it. So I don't know. Why can't we have stage leagues?
Yeah, I agree.
I think we built up a big enough base, like player base, especially with the most recent numbers, that it might be okay to split leagues or maybe introduce additional things, but they really need to do something with retaining people, for a lot longer. We're so lucky that we're in a pretty awesome community that people took it upon themselves to arbitrarily create this challenge because they want to play this game, but they're tired of Parandus League. They want to continue the challenge, and I guess a lot of the players feel like it's too easy or something. I don't know, but this challenge was community driven. It's awesome. I guess they got impatient and they were like, well, looks like racing's not coming anytime soon, so let's do our own thing. I'm very, very thankful that a lot of players are staying behind because they're participating in this self-found challenge, and it's also boosted my sales, so that doesn't hurt either.
Win-win.
Yeah, it's a win-win. People are happy with the game. I'm happy. I'm making a lot of currency. We're good. But I hope GGG notices this and like, well, maybe some numbers need tweaking. Maybe we need to pay more attention to like the race to 100.
Yeah.
Maybe
So
we need to do something here. Maybe.
I have a question for Ziz. So like, getting to level 100 has like an inherent difficulty in it. Like, you know, in your mind, you're like, okay, well, that was that hard. How much harder does it get solo self-found?
A lot,
Like,
ridiculously so.
like,
Because the amount of like, right, best case scenario, right? You're not going to break your map pool, but even like maintaining enough currency to not like, oh, nah, like, oof. I
yeah.
don't know, man.
This
I
is
was
so.
using
This
a
is what
lot of
I think about.
exalts.
Like, this is what I think about. Like, how much currency do you think you spent to get level 100?
100x.
100x, easy.
Yep.
And so doing that in a solo self-found is like it's considerably
It'll
different.
just take longer though. Like that's like trying to hit it at a good speed. You do get a lot just by like chain running, gorgeous, iron link stuff like that, and that's what I
Hmm.
ended up doing, which was cheaper. Like early on, I didn't really want to cheese it out, so I was running a lot of like 13s to 15s, which cost me a fuck ton of currency, especially when like I spent around 20x maintaining my red map pool for 4 days, and then I actually did like semi break it. I went down to tier 12s and then I ended up buying 6x worth of tier 14s because like just keeping them rolled 20 pack size each to maintain them is so expensive.
Hmm. Oh, but yeah. So and this is exactly what I think about. Like, you spend so much currency to get 100. A solo self-found has to be insane.
Hmm.
Like, you're talking about going from like, what was your playtime on your 100?
I'm not really 100% sure what it would be like actively. I fell asleep a few times while logged in, but
Yeah,
say
yeah.
around 5 6 days.
Okay. So, like, I feel like that's not like, okay, we'll take twice as long. I feel like it's going to
Hmm.
take like
Probably
four
two and a
times long.
half to 3 times as long.
Oh, really? Just three?
Well, I
Yeah.
would think it would be more than three, but
Yeah,
uh,
maybe.
Yeah. I thought it would be more than three,
I mean,
too.
you can't trade for chisels.
Yeah.
How are you gonna, keep up the
I would
quantity?
actually be pretty impressed or surprised if someone actually hits 100 in the solo self
Yeah, me
found.
too. That's what it's coming down to me.
Mm.
Like, I don't think anyone's going to get 100. And I'll be
Yeah.
surprised with
Yeah,
what
me
I see
too.
someone does.
I think the
And
right person with the right amount of skill is gonna have to hit some really good RNG to hit it.
right.
It's not only that though. Like right now on the road to 100, right? It's not just about skill. You also have a lot of RNG, which like dictates whether you're gonna live or die. You could
Right.
have a disconnect. You could have your dog chew over your Ethernet cable while you're killing a boss.
Could have your
There's a
cat
lot of
attack
things.
your
So the
router.
longer it takes you to hit level 100, say now it would take you like between a week and a half to 2 weeks to hit 100 while pushing really hard with buying loads of currency, selling and stuff like that, right? You get a lot of chisels, stuff like that. If it's going to take you 4 times as long, that's a huge increase in chances for your internet going down,
Hmm.
something bad happening, and just, yeah, or a perfect storm happening. Like, say an exile crits you while you're like reading your chat if you're a streamer or if someone's talking to you, like, oh, dinner's ready. I don't know.
Or
Yeah.
But
somebody
yeah,
opens a box that they're not not supposed to.
Yeah,
yeah, like a D&D box.
it's not the gear that I even think will be the problem
Hmm.
with the self-found league. And in someone, multiple people said this in chat. Sarathor said it's just not like the difference between getting 100 in a normal league where you could trade and getting it solo self-found. It's not linear. Like, it's going to be so dependent on your RNG, and it's just going
See,
to
that's
be
where I disagree. I feel like it is going to be part of the gear because people use gear to supplement their weakness or to cover their weakness. They get things like physical
Lightning bolt.
mitigation. Yeah, I mean, like it could be lightning coil, taste of hate, and if you don't have these tools, you're subject to those vulnerabilities, and that maybe you could go through so many more iterations for bad shit to happen because you're playing
Hmm.
solo self-found and you don't have these gear cover-ups or these band-aids to make your build complete, that you're always vulnerable to these elements, whether it's volatile damage, physical damage, spell damage. There's so many things that we can do with trade and items to live, set
But
yourself up for success.
I'll sort of disagree on that point, the gear point, because it's Piranha's Hardcore League. Basically, like every item I wanted to buy, I've gotten from Kadira at some point. I've seen something like 5 or 6 lightning coils. I've had 6 full tactics and stuff like that. So like the items you want and need, by the time you're 90, 95 plus, you would have had at least some of those, especially when it's going to go so much slower. So you're going to be doing a lot more maps, just maybe not like the peak ones. So you get like less XP, but you'll be doing a lot more maps. You'll get a lot more Kadiro deals in the solo self-found than you would while pushing 100 in
What?
another.
Okay, wait. Rewind, because I have a level 93 and a level 90, and I have never seen a Taste of Hate or a Lightning Coil. I think you're extremely lucky, and the fact that you're playing solo self-found and the likelihood you'll have that many coins, I don't know. I feel like you're going to be using them almost every opportunity that there's an upgrade.
I've
You're
seen
going to get like a lot more Kadiro deals though.
I've seen two Taste of Hates, one Lightning Coil, two Voltaxics, two Carcass Jacks, and
I haven't seen any of that.
I've seen Chateau Manners that I bought, and I bought most of those, and I've only purchased coins recently. In fact, I've seen so many Kadiro deals recently where I could either because I want the item or I could make some like chaos off of it that I've purchased coins. Like I see
that's
a
nuts.
lot.
I
of deals.
haven't seen an Exalt. The best currency that I've seen was Vol Orbs.
I've gotten.
I think you're really unlucky though.
Yeah, because I've
at
gotten
least 100 chaos off Kadiro.
I've gotten at least like 70 because I've gotten 10 chaos so many times for like 100 to 150 coins. I'm just like,
The best thing I found was a Piranha's Manor. That's the best thing I found. I have never seen a carcass. I haven't even seen a good chess piece. No carcass
Really?
jacks, no lightning coils, no shavs, no combs, nothing. No good flasks. It's just garbage for the most part. Everything is under like an exalt. I'm so shocked that you guys have found all these items and
You need
weapons
to
and
set
things
your
like
streamer
that.
RNG to 10, man.
Yeah.
My account must be cursed.
maybe
I'm
you
level
just don't.
93 and
Maybe
a
you don't really
90 and
notice
I haven't
Kadiro
seen
on
it.
the map. Sometimes he's kind of out of the
No.
way.
Oh, dude, I'm Asian. I noticed that. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go get this deal, and then I look at it. It's like it's always like a power ring for like 50 coins. I'm like, okay.
So
Typical.
if I tell you I've had 3 Bulls Devotions this league, you're gonna hate me, right?
Wow, like what? What? Oh my gosh.
Good for you,
Feels-
Ziz.
Feels good, man.
This
I
is
must
a
be
great
playing in a
league.
different league. Like what the
Set your
hell?
streamer RNG to 10, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I had 3 tier 15s in one map. Streamer RNG is real.
Man.
I mean, I've had no luck farming the trap enchant. I'm at 94 runs, and I've still haven't seen one trap enchant. That I'm gonna get Zana 8 before I get that achievement. It's so stupid.
That's cool.
I am so unlucky. Wow. Now all I'm
Yep.
gonna do is bitch and moan.
Wow.
You have
Watch
like
this
carb
podcast.
RNG.
Yeah, what's Carbs RNG like? He was just
Yeah.
saying I'm not even going to mention it. Is it good or bad?
Well, like you know how you can't break a 6 link with a fuse, right? If
Yeah.
Carv tried that,
He
it would
would.
probably delete the item.
Oh my god. Like that's Carb could do it.
It would just stay perma unlinked.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
That's pretty cool.
It'll turn into a Valor.
Well, okay, so all right, let's go ahead and change our subject a little. Improvements are going to be, or what you think they should be,
Ooh, divination card thing and a map thing.
and
What's
a
the
map thing?
divination card thing?
Yeah, what are we?
It's like we have the currency tab now. I want a divination card tab and a map tab.
Oh man, there'd
Okay.
be so many people with QQ with the
Yeah.
divination card thing.
That's what you would
Right.
want the next trade.
They take a
improvement to be?
lot of heat for just adding that currency tab, man. They took a lot. Holy crap. People have very, very strong opinions about it.
See, I could understand people being annoyed about the premium stash tabs, and I completely think that all new accounts should get a premium stash tab for free. But I think the currency tab is just fluff and pay to convenience. Whereas the premium tab, I think, is huge. I think it's a bit
Yeah.
too much.
Trade
And
improvements.
It's not just the fact that like yeah you can use acquisition, but say you're a new player, say you're completely new to the game. If you have a premium tab, right, you'll eventually you'll find that public button on your own without anyone else explaining it to you, and someone will message you, I want to buy, and you'll be like, hey now, like are you typing that in yourself? And he'll find out about PoE trade that way. But if you're a new player, you don't know anyone in the game, how are you going to find out about PoE trade or acquisition? You're not.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I agree because people would explore that. I mean, you see one tab that's a different color, You're gonna right click on it. You're gonna be like, "What's this? Oh, I can
Yeah.
change its name. Public. What's this?" And there's not enough things in the game that like kind of like the message boards, right? Like nothing prompts you to click on the message boards in the towns. Nothing does it. Nothing prompts you to go up to the PvP arena in Act 3. Nothing.
I do. I go there.
Well, yeah, but for brand new players, there's nothing that's really prompting
Beckoning
them to
you.
do it. And giving a stash tab to each player, or premium stash tab, it doesn't have to be within the account. It could be or not like right when you get the account, but it could be like when you get like level 70 or something. Just some arbitrary level, something like that. Get level 70 in. This would be a cool way to do it. Get level 70 in a hardcore and a standard league. You get a premium stash tab. Because I think one of the great things about Path of Exile is the fact that the hardcore league and hardcore setting is so playable compared to some other games. But I mean, as for what I want to see, what kind of brought this up was the April Fools, right? That April Fools was pretty good. They had like the scrolling text with like all the, I don't know, I want to say DAO, but I don't think it's actually called a DAO. But yeah, like I think an in-game currency market would be really cool. Like an actual.
No.
You don't think that would be cool?
No, I hate anything automated.
Well, no, it doesn't have to be automated. It's just like, I don't know.
I think the coolest thing would be some sort of bazaar where you had like one tab.
Uh-huh.
And you could like maybe do that, where you could go around browse. That was sort of like, and you'd see other players there. I think that would be quite cool. But anything like automated like an auction house, I don't really like. It's too easy to abuse it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the trading improvement that we need the most is actually on its way, and that's being able to trade between instances.
Yeah.
Like being able to do your lab run and not be like, hold on, wait. Or some way to be able to trade in your map too. That would be nice, because we still get the human interaction portion, but coming out of a map is kind of a pain in the butt, and then you end up telling the person, oh wait, I'm doing a map.
Then you forget.
You missed a sale, and the guy is annoyed because he didn't get the item, even though you guys both agreed on a price. That happens way too much, and I don't think we should be punished for something like that. Just being able to trade cross instances, I think, is very, very important, and I think that's already on the way. That's the number one complaint I have. How many lab runs do I do? Hey, I want to buy your your chess piece 1 exalt, or I want to buy this ring 1 exalt. And you're like, oh, awesome. And then you're like dealing with Izaro, and you just totally forget about it, or the guy logs off because he's tired of waiting, or he gets something else.
That change does make the most sense considering the labyrinth, but I don't feel like as many people are running the labyrinth or playing the labyrinth as everyone initially thought. I mean, there's been all this conversation about how terrible ES builds are in the labyrinth, but that does seem like the next logical step for trading. I mean, the public stash tab is such a huge step in the right direction. And they said there are multiple changes coming, so like my mind is like, ooh, what's next?
I just came up with a great idea. How about like the default challenge for every league, like say four challenges into a league, and this is only doable once per account, you get a premium stash tab. So say you do 4 challenges, you get a premium stash tab. If you get 4 challenges next league, you don't get another premium stash tab, but you get that one for free in 4 challenges.
Wait, so could you get a premium stash tab every league if you keep doing it?
No. Once.
Oh, okay. Oh, just once. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was thinking about some way to incentivize people to go a bit further with the challenges by giving them a stash tab or MTX, because people really like that. Some people don't care about the art in this game. They actually don't like it. They just like the gameplay, and they want some functionality to their account, and they would prefer that over MTX. There's probably a lot of people that are like that, and that would be nice, and that would give them the extra incentive to actually do the challenges if they don't want to pay real currency to buy features or whatever.
Right.
Well, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to just address something. Cheese will ask me, why is a step in the right direction to gate trade improvements behind premium currency? I'll tell you why. Because it's a step. Because it's forward. It's forward. It's, regardless if you think it's pay to win or not, it is something that they change that is an attempt at making the game better. And you know what? Know what we didn't get for a long time with trade? Nothing. So, at face value, at just for what it is exactly a step in the right direction. Whether you agree with it or not, it is. No, there you go. What are you gonna say?
But I was just going to argue the other side. Well, if we have cross-instance trading, what is that going to remove from the game? I guess that would ruin some people's immersion with, physically coming to someone's hideout, making the exchange. But it's not like our avatars are sticking out their hands with the item and like saying hello, thank you, and just like I guess you wouldn't be able to show off your hideout as much to newer people and
That would
get
devastate me.
compliments. Why you like having people come over and be like, your hideout is amazing.
It took like 2 hours to do my hideout.
Right.
Bad, man.
I mean, a lot of people do want like a bazaar, which you were kind of saying earlier.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
everyone does kind of want that. That would be really cool, and that would really help immersion too. Like it would be cool to like be like, oh, I'm gonna go to this person's hideout. Oh, let's see what they have for sale in their vendor today. Like that would kind of be cool.
Yeah, that definitely sounds really good because you're joining an instance with the specific goal to trade, and you know that everyone that's around is there for trade,
Mhm.
not just AFKing, sleeping or whatever, just standing there.
Yeah. No, because like in Diablo 2, you had like, trade servers. You'd like join and there would be like 7 other people there and you'd be like, oh, do you need this? What
Right.
about this? Can I command, please buy this of me? Come on.
Right.
Which is pretty cool.
You know
I
what
think-
I used to do? It's just like a funny little side note. I used to drop items in a Diablo 2 instance. I would create a game, drop like 5 items, and then log in to my next character really quickly because I was so afraid that if I just joined a public game and dropped it, someone was going to steal it. And sometimes people did steal it, but
Yep.
and sometimes you would, type the instance too slow and you would lose all your items. But anyways, that was a side rant.
All right. Well, Ziz, thanks for coming on, man. It was fun. Appreciate you stopping
man,
by.
congrats to 100.
Yeah,
Thanks,
congratulations.
Finally did it.
thanks for having me on the podcast. It was amazing. It's my first time here and it was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Where could people find you though?
So I stream on twitch.tv/PCChild. Bait of my life. I want to get it changed. But hey. And you can also check me out at YouTube. I think Zizaran finds me on YouTube. I'm pretty sure I managed to get that changed. So PC Child and yeah.
Awesome. And then Hedgie.
You can find me on twitch.tv/GeminiTV, and you can find me on YouTube. I have a lot of PoE content and guides. YouTube.com/GeminiPoE. I love doing this podcast. I love talking about the game, and yeah, thanks for having another episode. It's awesome.
Oh man. And yeah, again guys, thanks for watching. We are going to be doing the build highlight more. We're going to be working on it and try to do some things. I think that went a little bit longer than we actually anticipated it to go. So yeah, so let us know, give us your feedback, and yeah, thanks for watching. You're on my Twitch. You can check out my YouTube, youtube.com/WobbleShotTV, whatever. But yeah, guys, again, thanks for watching, and I'm going to stop the recording right now. Bye-bye.